Welcome, everyone, to today's deep dive. If you've been with us before, you know we love taking a stack of source material and really extracting the absolute most fascinating insights inside.
Yeah, we really do.
And today, we are going somewhere very specific. We are looking at a stack of municipal documents that, frankly, essentially serve as a masterclass in local governance.
Right. Tactical community planning, civic survival, all of that.
Exactly. We are looking directly at the town of Solon, Maine, and specifically their 2027 Comprehensive Plan update.
It's great to be diving into this with you today. And, looking at the materials we have, so we got the official guidelines, the internal slideshow presentations, the municipal website itself. This is a truly compelling case study.
Hmm.
We are looking at the raw, unfiltered blueprints for how a community actually attempts to engineer its own future.
We really are. And I want to get to the heavy municipal lifting in a second, but before we do, we need to establish a very crucial, honestly kind of fun insider detail right from the jump.
Oh, the pronunciation.
Yes. Taken directly from our source guidelines. For you listening, if you ever visit, or just as we discussed it today, the town is pronounced Solon.
Right.
Not Solon, it is Solon, Maine.
Which is exactly the kind of fiercely guarded local detail that matters when you're talking about community identity and preservation.
Definitely.
And for anyone wondering why we're dedicating an entire deep dive to one town's comprehensive plan, the broader context here is universally applicable.
Right, why you should care.
Exactly. For anyone, anywhere, who is interested in how communities actually survive and thrive in the modern era, this is a perfect real-world example.
Yeah.
It shows exactly how a small town combats unguided expansion, how they attempt to balance the preservation of their history with the absolute necessity of economic growth. And, and this is the tricky part, how they manage to create a long-term blueprint without losing your unique soul in the process.
Okay, let's unpack this. We all know the standard framework of a comprehensive plan. Under Maine's 1988 Growth Management Act, it's that official 10 to 15-year policy document dictating future growth, land use, and development.
Right, the standard municipal playbook.
But what is truly engaging here is how Solon is specifically positioning and communicating this document to its own residents. They aren't just, dropping a dense legal text on a desk. They are actively managing the psychology of their town.
That's a great way to put it. They are acutely aware of how municipal documents are usually perceived by the public.
Which is usually with a groan.
Exactly, with suspicion or just pure apathy. And there's a deeply entertaining slide from their presentation materials, literally titled, Setting the Record Straight.
I love that slide.
It's so good. They create a column for what it is and a column for what it is not. They explicitly state the plan is a living document that grows with the town and a guide for elected officials.
But the best part of that slide is what they actively, aggressively cross out. They put a massive red line through the idea that it is an ordinance or some rigid set of zoning rules meant to punish property owners, and they definitely explicitly cross out the phrase, a dust collection device.
Right.
They are preemptively attacking the exact cynicism that usually kills civic engagement.
They absolutely are.
Yeah.
But what's fascinating here is a brilliant little contradiction embedded right in the sources, and it speaks volumes about the reality of local government.
Oh, the state goals thing?
Yes. If you look at the town's website, it specifically notes that the plan ensures local decisions align with state goals. Which makes sense. They have to play by the rules of that 1988 Growth Management Act.
Right, you can't just ignore the state.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then, if you look back at that same Setting the Record Straight slide, they emphatically cross out the bullet point that says the plan is a response to state requirements.
Which is amazing.
It is a bold line to draw in the sand. They're essentially telling the state, we'll play by your rules and we will align with your goals, but we are absolutely not doing this just because you told us to.
It perfectly highlights the immense tension between necessary state alignment and a fierce desire for local community empowerment.
Yes.
They are taking ownership. By crossing that out, the committee is signaling to their neighbors that this is Solon's blueprint, born out of Solon's needs, not just a state-mandated chore being forced down their throats from the capital.
Completely.
Which brings us perfectly to the why. Why undergo this incredibly intense undertaking? Because we're talking about a process that results in a document over 200 pages long.
It's a massive lift.
It is. The sources outline three main pillars for why Solon needs this plan updated right now: local control, community voice, and financial access.
And we really need to look at that third pillar, financial access, because that is the lever that makes all of this mandatory.
Right.
This isn't just a philosophical exercise about what kind of town people want to live in. Having an updated, state-approved, comprehensive plan is a critical eligibility requirement for unlocking numerous state and federal grants.
So the state effectively holds the purse strings.
They really do.
Without this recognized blueprint, a town can effectively lock itself out of the funding it needs to actually build the infrastructure, fix the roads, or support the vital services it wants to provide.
Exactly. It is the literal key to the town's financial future. But a town isn't just a balance sheet, which is where the other two pillars, local control and community voice, come in. The financial access is the engine, but the community voice is the steering wheel.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's look at Solon's actual vision statement from the website, because it represents an incredibly delicate, almost precarious balancing act. They want to preserve their rural character, their natural beauty, and their traditional small-town values. They specifically mention protecting their recreational assets and maintaining a safe environment with minimal crime.
Which sounds idyllic.
Right. But in the exact same breath, they are committing to guiding thoughtful, sustainable growth.
And that is the ultimate friction point for any municipality. How do you remain a welcoming, vibrant place that attracts new business and younger residents, what they call remaining resilient, while simultaneously protecting the exact, quiet, rural character that makes the town special in the first place?
It's tough.
It's easy to write thoughtful growth in a vision statement, but executing a plan that actually navigates the collision between economic development and historic preservation is incredibly difficult.
Which is why the structure of the document itself is so vital. It's a 200-page text, but the sources show they've engineered it to be an actual usable tool for the town council and planning board.
Yes, the three tiers.
Exactly. They break the anatomy of the plan down into three actionable tiers. It is a strict funnel from the abstract to the concrete.
Right. Tier 1 is your goals. These are the anticipated and desired outcomes for the community. This is where the big picture vision we just talked about lives. The what we want to achieve.
Then you move down to tier 2, which is policies. This provides the framework created to support the municipal decision-making process. If a developer comes to town with a new proposal, the policies tier is the exact lens through which town leaders will evaluate that proposal to see if it aligns with the goals.
Right. And finally, tier 3, strategies. These are the meticulously specific, concrete action items the town will physically take to achieve its goals.
So the vision statement isn't just poetry.
No, not at all. It's the top of a funnel that eventually distills down into very specific strategic tasks. You go from a broad goal, like we want to protect our natural beauty, all the way down to a specific, measurable strategy for managing water resources or restricting zoning around a vital recreational area.
It bridges the gap between philosophy and action perfectly. Now let's talk about the architects behind this roadmap. Who is actually putting these 200 pages together?
The committee?
Yes, the sources introduce us to the Comprehensive Planning Committee, which is made up of local Solon residents who stepped up to guide the town's vision. But they aren't working in a vacuum.
Right, you need some professional backup for this.
Absolutely. They have contracted partners helping them navigate the bureaucratic and technical weight of this project. And according to our source guidelines, we are going to make sure we pronounce this acronym correctly.
Yes, please do.
They are working with the Kennebec Valley Council of Governments, known as KV-CIRG. That's KV-PAGA.
KV-COG. And that partnership between local, boots-on-the-ground residents and KV-COG's regional planning experts is essential because the timeline and the sheer scope of this project are staggering.
Let's look at that roadmap the sources lay out.
Yeah, so this entire project launched back in October of 2025. That is when the committee was officially created and began their monthly review sessions with KV-PAGA.
And the ultimate finish line isn't until April 2027. That is when the final draft of the plan will be completed and officially submitted to the state land use team for approval.
We are talking about a year and a half of focused, intense monthly community work.
When you look at what's actually required inside the plan, you immediately understand why it takes 18 months.
Exactly. The sources list 14 distinct chapters. They are auditing everything from population and demographics, housing and transportation, all the way to public facilities, water resources, fiscal capacity, and future land use.
And just looking at that list, you can see the internal friction we talked about
Oh,
earlier.
everywhere.
A chapter on future land use naturally collides with a chapter on historic and archaeological resources. A chapter on housing has to directly negotiate with the chapter on water resources.
It is a top-to-bottom audit and projection of the entire town's ecosystem.
It's exhaustive.
Yeah.
But they are actively making tangible progress, and more importantly, they're being highly transparent about it.
Yeah, drafts for several of these complex chapters are actually already finalized. Specifically, the chapters on the community profile, historic and archaeological resources, the local economy, and agriculture and forestry are complete.
And the town website currently has these new finalized drafts available to read, but I think the most striking thing on that website is what they have sitting right next to these new drafts.
Oh, the old plan.
Yes. They have a copy of the town's current active comprehensive plan available for comparison. And that current plan is from 1992.
1992, which completely recontextualizes the urgency and the weight of this 2027 update.
It really does.
If you connect this to the bigger picture, think about what it means to be running a municipality on an operating system designed in 1992.
It's pre-internet. It's pre-remote work.
Exactly.
The economic drivers, the environmental concerns, the demographic realities, everything is fundamentally shifted. Trying to govern a town in 2026 using a map drawn in 1992 means you have likely spent the last decade being entirely reactionary instead of proactive.
Precisely. The challenges Solon faced 35 years ago are vastly different from the challenges of today.
Yeah.
Upgrading an operating system with a 3.5-decade gap is a monumental task,
Yeah.
which makes community participation in this new draft not just a nice idea, but absolutely vital for accuracy.
Yeah.
The new blueprint has to reflect the modern reality of the town, not just the memory of what it used to be.
And that brings us to the most incredible part of this deep dive, the timing.
Yes. We are recording and releasing this deep dive today, Thursday, March 5th, 2026. Which means, for you listening right now, the next massive event on Solon's roadmap is happening in exactly 2 days. That's right. If you look at the schedule provided in the sources, this coming Saturday, March 7th, 2026 is an absolutely critical day for the town. It is the annual town meeting day.
Now, normally municipal schedules are pretty dry.
Very dry.
But the way Solon is deploying their committee on this specific Saturday is a masterclass in tactical civic engagement. They aren't just putting a flyer on a bulletin board and hoping people show up. They are actively intercepting the voting populace.
It is brilliant logistics. Voting for elected officials runs all morning, from 8:00 a.m. straight through to 12:15 p.m. Then there's a brief window before the town's open business meeting kicks off at 1:30 p.m. And perfectly positioned right in that window, at exactly 1:00 p.m., the Comprehensive Planning Committee is holding its very first public participation session.
Right before the open business meeting, you literally have the entire active, engaged voting population of the town already physically gathered in one place, and the committee is capitalizing on that exact moment to capture their input.
It's incredibly smart.
The slideshow actually has a slide titled "The Missing Piece is You," where they enthusiastically explain that whether you are a legacy homeowner, a farmer, a local business owner, or a brand new resident, your specific input determines what the town protects and how it grows.
The level of access here is staggering. They are systematically removing every possible point of friction that usually prevents citizens from engaging with local government.
Yeah, tell us about the survey.
So they are pushing a community survey, and they've made it instantly accessible. You can access it via a smartphone QR code or take it online through a direct link.
But if you aren't a smartphone person or you just prefer paper, they've removed that barrier too. You can print the survey right from the website, or you can grab physical paper copies at the town office located at 121 South Main Street. Plus, they will be handing out those copies directly to voters on town meeting day this Saturday.
And this intense commitment to accessibility extends far beyond just filling out a survey. The town has actively restructured its municipal hours to ensure working residents actually have a chance to engage.
That's a huge deal.
It really is. The town office offers extended hours on Wednesdays, staying open until 6:00 p.m. They're making sure government operates on a schedule that accommodates the citizens, not just the bureaucrats.
And if someone wants to go beyond just taking a survey, if they want to physically sit at the table and help debate the friction between land use and historic preservation, they can.
Yeah.
Residents are encouraged to call the Select Board directly at 207-643-2541 to join the Comprehensive Planning Committee itself.
And the sources provide the exact rhythm of that commitment.
Hmm.
Review and development sessions are held on the fourth Tuesday of every single month at 6:00 p.m.
Wow.
They are quite literally leaving the door wide open for anyone who wants a seat at the table to help write the next 15 years of the town's history.
It's a remarkable level of transparency. They are doing everything in their power to ensure this 200-page document isn't created in a vacuum by a handful of people behind closed doors.
Right.
They understand that they need the farmer's perspective on land use just as much as they need the new resident's perspective on recreational assets if the final plan is going to actually survive contact with reality.
So what does this all mean?
Mm-hmm.
When we zoom out and look at this entire stack of sources, the delicate vision statements, the 14 exhaustive chapters, the tension between state mandates and local control, and the brilliantly tactical town meeting schedules, the big picture for you, the listener, is that true civic engagement is a highly structured, deeply intentional process.
Absolutely. A town doesn't just magically preserve its rural character, and it doesn't magically secure state grants for new infrastructure.
It doesn't.
It takes years of volunteer work, marathon Tuesday night meetings, and an aggressive willingness to survey the community. Solon is proving right now that an engaged community can actively write its own future, rather than just throwing their hands up and letting unchecked growth simply happen to them.
This raises an important question, though, and it's something to mull over even after we finish here today.
Okay, what is it?
Well, we know a comprehensive plan is a 10 to 15-year blueprint. The document being shaped by today's surveys and this Saturday's town meeting will govern Solon until roughly the year 2040.
Right.
What happens when a living document created today, based on today's specific community voice, has to be executed a decade from now by brand new residents or newly elected officials who never took that survey?
That is the ultimate paradox of urban planning. It makes you wonder, is a living document actually alive, actively adapting to new realities? Or does it inevitably become just a rigid time capsule of what a specific group of people wanted on a Tuesday night in 2026? Does the intense desire for preservation eventually become a trap for the next generation? How does a town ensure the blueprint truly grows with a changing population while still respecting the vision established by the people who did the hard work today?
It is a fascinating tension. The friction between a long-term plan and an unpredictable, ever-changing reality.
If you want to see exactly how Solon navigates this friction, or if you just want to see the sheer amount of logistical work that goes into a project like this, we highly recommend you check out solon.maine.gov.
Definitely worth a look.
Just navigate over to their comprehensive plan page to see the progress, read the finalized chapters, or take a look at that original 1992 plan to see just how much a town can change in 35 years. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the blueprint of a community's future. Keep looking for those fascinating details out there, and we will see you next time.